Welcome to the Art of the Day portion of this week's lecture. This week we are talking about printmaking and street art. Now I want to remind everybody that this assignment is an important part of the class, and to this date I have several people without that haven't turned in their assignments yet. Just know that next week we are talking about photography and video, and I'd really like to have all 6 of these presentations to show. Now, before we get into the presentation, I want to give you a quick announcement, which is this week I am assigning your final project, which is a paper that you'll have to write. So go ahead and get on that as soon as you can. You've got only 3 weeks left in the semester, so you got to do that. It's the last big assignment that we have. Everything else is just the weekly quizzes. So after you go through all the lectures, take a look at the assignments, at the final assignment, and then you're home free for the rest of the semester. Like I said, we're talking about printmaking this week, and I've only got one presentation for you about printmaking, and this is an artist, William Kentridge. And then we're going to talk about Keith Haring, who is the most important, as far as I'm concerned, the most important person in the world of street art. He's sort of the guy who brought street art into the art gallery, and really it became a commodity after him. But I also want to talk about our second lecture for the class, which this week, which is on street art, of course. I'm not lecturing. I'm showing a video instead, or a movie. And it's a great movie. You're going to love it. And in that movie, you'll find this artist, Shepard Fairey. He's a pretty major character in the movie. And you'll find a little snippet of this artist, Swoon. So watch the movie closely and see if you can find Shepard Fairey, which you will, and Swoon. And then there's going to be a quiz on street art. The reason why I like to show the movie Exit Through the Gift Shop is because it does a better job talking about street art than I ever could. You know, it's really great. It talks about the culture, and it shows all of these great people, and it's a super entertaining movie. It's sort of like a first-person documentary, but it's crazy, and you'll find out why, and you'll get to meet lots of contemporary street artists in that movie. So I think you'll really enjoy it. Again, there's going to be a quiz for the Art of the Day lecture, and there's going to be a quiz for your printmaking lecture, and then there's going to be a quiz for the movie, so I expect everybody to watch the movie. And so those are the announcements. Be sure to check out the final project, and then let's go ahead and get started. So we are talking about William Kentridge. I do want to point out that William Kentridge does a lot of drawings, but he also does a lot of printmaking. And so you'll see some drawings in this presentation, but that's totally fair. Okay, by Yvette. William Kentridge was born April 28, 1955 in Johannesburg, South Africa. He's 66 years old, and he's South African. He attended University of Witwatersrand in Johannesburg in 1973, and he also attended Johannesburg Art Foundation from 76 to 78. He studied mime and theater at Lacroix International de Théâtre Jacques Lacroix, Paris, from 1981 to 1982. And he is best known for animated drawings. Here's a critic's statement on Kintrich's work. His work spans a diverse range of artistic media such as drawing, performance, film, printmaking, sculpture, and painting. Kintrich has also directed a number of acclaimed operas and theatrical productions. Kintrich is the recipient of honorary doctorates from several universities, including Yale and the University of London. So that is interesting. Marion Goodman is probably a gallery that represents him. So there are one or two, or maybe three galleries around the world that exclusively sell his artwork, and that's what happens when you're a big deal in the art world. So here is charcoal and red pencil on paper. I suppose it's called Hold Breath, Touch. Drawing from natural history of the studio. Seems like a sort of collage style approach, which is pretty cool. Flipbook film from drawings on single pages of the Shorter Oxford English Dictionary in HD video, color and sound. Secondhand reading, 2013. So this would be a video where the pages are flipping back and forth. Processional Nose, 2015, mohair tapestry. I'm not sure what that means. I suppose it's a woven tapestry. I guess that's exactly what it means. So this is big. This is 8.5 feet tall and 8.5 feet wide. And this looks like embroidery in a map that might be printed or might be embroidered also on fabric. Nose, 20. Aquatint and dry point. We will see some aquatint and dry point in the lecture, so pay attention to that. Aquatint is a process that is part of etching. It's an etching process. Here are additional prints. Looks like almost posters for a show at that gallery in London. William Kintrich stereoscope exhibition poster. A photolithograph poster in colors. So that is a process of a photolithograph. That is a process of printing off of stone, image printing off of stone, like a slab of stone. Medusa, Parquet 63. Anamorphic lithograph in red and black. Interesting. So it looks like, so lithograph is a type of print. Again, it comes off of stone, and it looks like the print is on found paper, like newspaper or maybe the dictionary or encyclopedia again. And that's cool, seeing the reflection of Medusa's face in this tin can. That's actually really neat. Drawing for City Deep, A Fault to be Discovered Later, 2019. Charcoal, red pencil, and printed text on paper. So he is mixing and matching here. That's interesting because this looks like the edge of the paper, but it also looks like whatever's here goes off beyond the edge. So it's either glued on or the paper actually goes around this contour. It's pretty neat. And so he's Yeah, and it's got the printing and the drawing. I have not seen this artwork before. Anne, 2009, watermarked cotton. And what I'm guessing that is when you take your $100 bill and you hold it up to the light and you see uh, the Benjamin Franklin's face in the bill, that is a similar technology. So that's cool. There must be a light shining behind this paper. And so the cotton is actually a paper. It's a paper made out of cotton. City Deep 2020, single channel video, high definition color and sound. So one of the things that William Kentridge does with making videos is it's these drawings that he'll maybe use the same drawing and modify it and erase and draw characters and photograph the same drawing again and again, and it becomes a smudgy mess of a drawing, but you see the characters moving through space in them. Here's one of his sculptures, Cape Silver, 2018. This is cast bronze, and we'll get into casting in future lectures, but this would have been molten bronze poured into a mold. Ivette's opinion. Overall, I do not find the artwork of artist Kentridge interesting and unique. The artist uses different techniques and styles to portray his paintings. They're not paintings, they're, say, drawings and prints. He also has multiple talents in different areas of art. That is obvious and that's true. There are the resources. And awesome. Good job, Yvette. Let's move on to the godfather of street art, Keith Haring. Keith Haring was born May 4th, 1958 in Kutztown, Pennsylvania and died on February 16th, 1990. Haring graduated high school in 1976 and then went to attend the Ivy School of Professional Art in Pittsburgh, however dropped out shortly after. In 1978, Haring decided to return to school at the School of Visual Arts in New York City. Haring is an American street artist who used New York as his canvas, with cartoons being his inspiration. His work was exhibited widely both within the United States and internationally. His signature images include a barking dog, flying saucer, large hearts, and figures with televisions for heads. Although his artwork was accepted and liked by many, it also got him in trouble with the law and was arrested many times due to vandalism. His first solo exhibition was in 1981 at the West Beth Painters Space in Manhattan, and then the following year, 1982, he began to show his art at the Tony Shafrazi Gallery, which would ultimately represent him for the rest of his career. A critic's statement. Maybe this is something written by Keith Haring himself. This openness to chance situations necessitates a level of performance in the artist. The artist, if he is a vessel, is also a performer. I find the most interesting situation for me is when there is no turning back. Many times I put myself in situations where I am drawing in public. Whatever marks I make are immediately recorded and immediately on view. There are no mistakes because nothing can be erased. Similar to the graffiti tags or the insides of a subway cars and brush paintings of Japanese masters. The image comes directly from the mind to the hand. The expression exists only in that moment. The artist's performance is supreme. That's interesting to me because he's talking about making art as an act. The act of making art is art in itself. The artist is performing as they are making. One of his murals on the Berlin Wall. Wow, 1986. Painted on cement, the Berlin Wall, around 3.6 meters tall and 300 meters long. Wow, this is cool. This is very cool. Crack is Whack, 1986. 2 murals on either side of a concrete handball wall, 16 by 26 feet. Ignorance Equals Fear, 1989. Screen print and offset lithograph. So these are both printmaking processes that we'll be talking about in the printmaking lecture. Paint on silkscreen, Radiant Baby. So another printing process. Fight AIDS Worldwide, 1990, lithograph. Andy Mouse, 1986, 4 silk screens on cardboard. Interesting. So it's a mouse that looks like Andy Warhol. Houston Bowery Street Mural, 1982. Paint on building located in downtown Manhattan, around 17 by 50 feet. Barking Dogs and Spaceships in Angels and Coyotes, 1982. That's cool. Chalk on subway posters. Untitled World. So this is on conservation digital paper. Almost looks like it was, I guess, printed digitally by a computer. But he died in the late 80s. Sculpture, untitled, 2 dancing figures. Well, this was definitely not made in 1958. I'm not sure when it was made. Maybe it was 1988. All right, the opinion. Keith Haring's artwork is unique, and that is why I found him and his work very interesting. Each of his art pieces has a why and a deeply rooted meaning. Upon searching the internet, I noticed a lot of his artwork didn't really have a title. It was difficult to find the exact measurements and mediums of the original pieces when researched online. I've always seen Haring's artwork around, but until I was assigned him for this project, I didn't know it was he who created all of those pieces that I would see around on posters, shirts, banners, etc. Upon doing further research on Haring, I found out that he unfortunately was diagnosed with AIDS in 1988 and eventually died due to complications from the disease in 1990. Haring also had a drug problem at one point, hence you'll see a lot of his artwork based on anti-drug messages such as the infamous "crack is whack." What surprised me the most was that a handful of his artwork has been taken down, destroyed, or has been modified, such as the Berlin Wall mural and the Houston Bowery Street mural. I included some pictures on the next slide of some of his work I found amusing and that familiarized me with his techniques as an artist that you all might as well, but I wasn't able to put it in the slides above due to insufficient information. That is totally cool. Let's check them out. Wow, these are great. All right, so let me shed some light on this. What we see in the bottom left, those are chalk drawings on the subway posters. And we saw another drawing with the subway posters. And what they used to do in New York City is rather than tearing down the posters, so advertisers would pay to have their advertisements in the subway, and rather than tearing them down and having a blank wall, someone would come through when the time was up on the advertisement and just paint them black. So sometimes there would be, this is back in the 80s, they don't do this anymore, but sometimes there would be entire subway stations full of paper that was just painted black. And that's what these drawings were on. This is a cool sculpture that I haven't seen before, but it's awesome. And I do want to say that Keith Haring did a whole bunch of murals in New York City, and a lot of them were illegal. Some of them were not illegal, but because a lot of them were illegal, they were torn down. They were seen as graffiti, and they were torn down. Graffiti wasn't held to the same standard as it is now. Um, and lots of people didn't even, you wouldn't be able to convince a building owner to do this. Of course, some murals were done. And I believe in New York, where he lived, there's one Keith Haring mural that's still around, and it's at a YMCA up in Harlem. Um, but the rest, if you see them around, they've been painted in the style of Keith Haring or in remembrance of. So that was very insightful. So thank you very. I'm blanking. I'm sorry. So thank you very much, Melanie. That was a great presentation. All right. Let's talk about swoon. Swoon was born in New London, Connecticut in 1977. She's 44 years old. Swoon's real name is Caledonia Curry. Swoon is famous for her street art. She obtained her BA in Fine Arts from the Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York in 1997. Swoon was raised in Daytona Beach, Florida, and Swoon is contemporary American street artist best known for her large-scale wheat paste prints and paper cutouts. Femininity and delicacy. All of these qualities are not respected on a grand scale. We don't really have a cultural history of appreciating female genius. Let's call it. People who fully embody their art and their work in ways that express their femininity. That is the truth, Swoon. There's that feeling that you get when you see something that you don't understand the origin of. Wonderment. Interesting. So she's referring to her artwork, or maybe a culture of graffiti with that. A few of her pieces. Dawn and Gemma, 2014, a 3-color screen print on hand-stained 13-gram concentric. I'm not sure what concentric means. Must be a type of paper. Sonia, 2019, 14-color screen print on Coventry heavyweight rag. That's a type of paper. And Moni and Sphinx, 2017, 15-color silkscreen with hand-painted acrylic, gouache, and watercolor. So one thing that I think is great about combining the lectures of printmaking and street art is that lots of wheat pasting in particular, like this, is essentially putting up prints that the artist makes as though it's wallpaper. So that's what wheat paste is. And so these are very complex silk screens, and you can only do one color at a time. That's why it says 15 colors. Allison the Lace Maker, 2016. A color screen print on handmade tea-stained jute paper. Edline, 2018. Block print and gouache on paper attached to a found window. Caitlin, 2018. Block print on paper attached to a found window. Amanda, 2018. Silk screen, cut paper, and acrylic gouache on paper, also attached to a found window. Helena, 2016, silkscreen hand painting and cut paper on handmade paper. Paper made by the artist. Cool. Monica, 2015, fabric paper cutouts, screen print, and acrylic paint on wood. Music Box, ABBA, 2018, 10-color silk screen on Coventry rag. Thalassa, 15 color screen print, silk screen on 100% cotton Coventry rag. Very cool. All right, Ice Queen 2017. This is a one color silk screen on heavyweight rag. And then we have Sambhavna Girls 2013, an archival inkjet print on cotton rag with hand painting. After doing research on Swoon's artwork, it blows my mind away. I love her artwork. Each artwork I found had some meaning behind it. The one thing I love about her art is that she creates her artwork from recycled newsprint paper. I found that it takes her weeks to paint and cut out each figure in her studio. She also inspires many people with her artwork. Above all, I put all the paintings that I found interesting. At last, I just want to say she is a great street artist. Awesome. I totally agree. So, again, sorry. Thank you very much, Nishi. That was a great presentation. And then we are going to finish with Gavin's presentation on Shepard Fairey. Shepard Fairey is an American. He's born in Charleston, South Carolina, and he's 51 years old. He went to the Rhode Island School of Design, also known as RISD, and he got his Bachelor's of Fine Arts with a degree in illustration. Frank Shepard Fairey is a 51-year-old American who is well known as a street artist, along with being an open activist of American culture. His most famous piece, Hope, brought Frank to the spotlight with inspiring work of art. Born in Charleston, South Carolina on February 15, 1970, while attending high school, Frank started to get involved in the world of art around 1984, where he painted on the skateboards and t-shirts. Graduating high school in 88, he was able to move to Rhode Island to attend RISD, where he studied until 1992 and obtained a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in illustration. After which. And so here's something written by Shepard Fairey, a manifesto. Because people are not used to seeing advertisements or propaganda for which the product or motive is not obvious, frequent and novel encounters with the sticker provoke thought and possible frustration, nevertheless revitalizing the viewer's perception and attention to detail. That was a complicated sentence. Sorry, Shepard. The sticker has no meaning, but exists only to cause people to react, to contemplate, and search for meaning in the sticker. Because obey has no actual meaning, the various reactions and interpretations of those who view it reflect their personality and the nature of their sensibilities. Many people who are familiar with the sticker find the image itself amusing, recognizing it as nonsensical, and are able to derive straightforward visual pleasure without burdening themselves with an explanation. The paranoid or conservative viewer, however, may be confused by the sticker's persistent presence and condemn it as an underground cult with subversive intentions. Many stickers have been peeled down by people who were annoyed by them, considering them an eyesore and an act of petty vandalism, which is ironic considering the number of commercial graphic images everyone in American society is assaulted with daily. That is interesting. I hope that. So this is the sticker. Have you guys? Except it's written backwards. Or there are other additional stickers with Andre the Giant, who's a professional wrestler from the 70s. We'll see if some of these are included. Here's a critique of Shepard Fairey. There are inherent contradictions to being a commercially successful street artist, and Shepard Fairey will be the first to tell you. I critique capitalism, yet there are works here for sale. He says at the opening of Damaged, a 200-piece exhibition in downtown LA featuring work that can cost up to $100,000. As for the corporate collaborations through his design agency, which include marketing campaigns for Nike and Saks Fifth Avenue, people romanticize struggle and obscurity, and I get that. But it's a very one-dimensional argument to say that people who have money are evil and artists who are poor are virtuous. Having begun his career as a teenager, clandestinely pasting posters on the sides of buildings in the middle of the night in cities like New York and Providence and eventually all over the world, the duality of his practice has naturally prompted accusations of selling out. Fairey, however, identifying as an artist first and activist second, calls his commercial efforts and inside-out strategy to improve the system from the inside. All right, that's interesting. All right, here's the opinion. While the artwork is easy on the eyes and uses very simple shapes to get its point across, the bluntness of the pieces make it not worth a second glance, since you can understand it from a first impression without much discussion. Alongside, while stylized well, the work is very limited to a red coloring in all of his art, making most of them blend together and not being able to stand out. That's a very fair critique. I wonder what you guys think. There is a very well-known controversy about the Hope poster, the Barack Obama poster. Shepard Fairey was sued by the Associated Press and countersued the AP over the use of one of their photographs of Barack Obama as the basis of his famous Hope poster. In the end, the artist agreed to pay an undisclosed amount of money to the AP and to share in royalties of the art. This became more controversial as Shepard Fairey was fined $25,000 and given 2 years probation in a criminal contempt case related to this lawsuit, as it was alleged that he destroyed evidence related to the case. Interesting. All right, so what they're saying is this poster here, made by Shepard Fairey, the image was taken by another person. That other person belonged to a news organization called the Associated Press. And the funny thing is, the person who took the photograph didn't actually know that they took the photograph because they had taken thousands of photographs of Barack Obama. But once it was discovered, he got sued. And so when artists take the likeness of other images made by other people, that becomes grounds for like lawsuits. So there's the Hope poster, offset lithograph. So this is, again, another printing process. Another poster, screen print in colors on cream speckled paper, called Idiocracy in 2016. Make Art Not War 2014. These posters aren't small, but they're not that big. So they're 2.5 feet wide and 4 feet tall. So it's the size of like less than 4 feet tall. So it's the size of like a movie poster. So this is one of the stickers that Shepard Fairey was talking about in his quote. This is one of the first ones that I became aware of. Andre the Giant has a posse. 7 feet 4 inches, 520 pounds. So Andre the Giant was a pro wrestler from the 1970s, and he was a really, really big person. He was 7 feet 4 inches tall and 520 pounds. Enormous, like enormous dude. And so if you have a chance, check out videos on YouTube of Andre the Giant. But anyway, this is sort of the poster that, or the sticker that he's saying in his quote, like, the sticker doesn't mean anything, but because it's so frequent, there were so many of these stickers around that people started to get annoyed by them and or became I don't know, scared of them. Earth Crisis 2015. I have never seen this before. Installation, the Eiffel Tower, Paris. Fairey was the first artist ever permitted to create an installation at the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and was unveiled to time with the COP21 climate conference in the city. I am not familiar with that. Check it out. So it takes a minute for my internet to work. My Florist is a Dick, 2019. Serigraph on 100% cotton, custom archival paper with hand deckled edges, 30 by 41 inches. So serigraph is another word for screen printing. Never trust your own eyes. Limited edition print. Peace Elephant, 2011 lithograph. It's kind of a cool image. American Rage, 2020, speckle tone paper. Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, numbered and signed, 2016. Kiss Me Deadly, 2007. Imperial Glory, 2012. And that's it. Well, thank you very much for this presentation, Gavin. I agree that some of it seems a little bit weak, but some of it's pretty cool, in my opinion. This is the installation. I mean, I'm not a huge street art fan. That's maybe why I haven't seen this, but I don't hate this piece. This is pretty cool. So I suppose what was in Gavin's presentation is a poster for this installation. That's probably my favorite piece that Shepard Fairey has ever done. All right, well, that's it for the Art of the Day presentations. Go ahead and take your quiz, and don't forget to take your other 2 quizzes, one for printmaking and then a quiz for your Exit Through the Gift Shop movie, and then get started on your final project.